Okay, guys, it's Scott for Rebellious Noise, and I'm here with.
It's Dan from Rebellious Noise.
Right, and Dan, we are back talking football again, and it feels good again. The season's about to start, and we're going into international football.
We are. It's coming home, mate. It's coming home.
I like how it changes. When it's the World Cup, that is it. When it's the Euros, that's it. And when it's the Nations League now, thankfully we've got a third competition, that's also
Mate,
possibly
it's just
it.
football in general.
Yeah, football. Yeah. Okay, so that is exactly what we're going to be talking about here. We're going to be talking about the Nations League 2020-21 campaign. So what we're going to do is we're going to touch on the highest ranking teams in FIFA rankings. You know, your Germanys, your Spains, your Portugals, and obviously a bit of England as well. We might touch on some home nation stuff towards the end. Um, but we'll see how it goes. But from this point, we're going to start off. Basically, we're going to cover match day 1 and 2. If you're not familiar with the Nations League, where was you? Because last year it was absolutely incredible. Last 2 years even, because obviously the finals was in 2019, but it did begin in 2018. It's a great kind of little gap, and we've gone on about it before on Goal Hanging, which is Dan's football show on this channel. Don't worry, guys. Goal Hanging is coming back. We've got big plans for it this year, but for these quick time predictions, we're just going to be doing them as you see right now. So, first of all, match day 1. We're going to be covering League A in this, by the way. We're not really going to go into B, C, or D. We're just sticking in with the big boys at the moment. So, League A, we're just going to do a little bit of quick fire predictions. We're kicking off. The first games are going to be Switzerland versus Ukraine, and also Germany versus Spain, which is obviously a tasty one. So, Dan, what are you thinking about Ukraine versus Switzerland?
2-0 Switzerland.
That's exactly what I was thinking. You read
There we
my
go. Great
mind.
minds think alike.
Okay, so some of these games we're going to spend a bit more time than others because obviously next up is a heavy hitter. We've got Germany versus Spain. Um, Now, Germany didn't have the best Nations League campaign last time round. They didn't have a great World Cup either. Spain, so-so. Probably better than Germany though. And I'm going to go 2-1 victory to Spain in this.
I'm going to also say 2-1, but the other way round.
Oh, what's your reasoning?
I think the fact that David De Gea has not been playing too well, neither has Kepa or Aretha Balaga.
So you think
Pretty
it's going to
much.
come down to goalkeeper's going to let more in than the other goalkeeper?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
And also you got, I think that Germany have probably got the heavy hitters with like Thomas Muller and what's his name? I had it literally. Timo Werner, that's it. The one who's just signed for Chelsea.
True.
Yeah, so I think yeah, it could be a very good like training session for Werner if Kepa plays. So against his new teammate. So
True. Moving on to Friday, we are going to have Italy versus Bosnia and Herzegovina. 3-0 Italy.
yeah, I think it's not really fair on Italy having to face two countries, but you know they've got to play two teams, Bosnia and
It's
Herzegovina.
a
So make
handicap
your mind
match.
up. Yeah. So it's 11 versus 22. So um, yeah, no, I think 3-1 Italy, 3-1. I think Edin Dzeko might get his token goal
Okay,
for Bosnia and Herzegovina.
B&H getting on the scoreboard. Well, it reminds me actually, obviously we didn't get the Euros this year, which is why we are craving some more international football. I actually did a Euros kind of like what would have happened, who would have won it, did predictions, and in that I was all for Italy. I won't give you spoilers because you should go back and watch it, but I had some cases for Italy there, which I kind of roll into my predictions here. I think Italy are definitely climbing that international pyramid. Another team that I said was doing the same was the Netherlands, and they're facing off against Poland on the same night. Poland are a decent team themselves, but I think, again, the Netherlands are flying lately. The way they got into the final of the last Nations League, I think they're going to be pushing on here as well and gearing up to Euro 2021 as it will now be. But I think the Netherlands are going to do wonders in this competition and in the Euros, actually, and I think they're going to be another 3-1. Well, you're the one that said 3-1, but 3-1 this time round as well.
Yeah, I reckon they might. I reckon it could be a little bit more of a rout than that. I reckon 4-0.
4-0.
4-0. Yeah, to
Ooh.
Poland. Nah, to Holland. And I think Szczesny's only going to concede half the amount that he conceded when he played against Man United at Old Trafford. So
Come on, why are you still bringing it up, man? Come on, we ain't even doing Man U Arsenal here. Okay,
plus
right.
there was an 8-2 recently, so
Uh,
it kind of
oh yeah,
brought the
true.
scoreline up again. So
It was a refresher. I was hoping for one more.
I was hoping Bayern would get one more goal, and then that would be the new meme, but they equalled our meme, but whatever. So moving on, we go into Matchday 1, continuing, and this is on Saturday the 5th of September. And it is the game that, as England fans, I'm sure we've been waiting for, and that is England playing a football game again, but not just that. We're playing Iceland.
And
yay!
woo,
It's a bit of a bogey team for us, considering what happened in Euro 2016. Since that, England, I mean, you guys know, England have completely revitalised the squad. Youth coming in, Southgate coming in, and it has been a lot better as an England fan. Did very well in the Nations League, obviously getting to the semi-final. And Iceland, since 2016, haven't done too much themselves. So I'm going to go with, and I probably would have said this back then though, surely an England win. I'm going to go 2-0 to England. What are you thinking?
Obviously, we're not talking about the previous meeting between the two teams. I think that England have got a lot more, although Iceland have got a few good players in there like Sigurdsson, Gudmundsson. So, but yeah, I think England 3-1, 3-1 England. I
3-1.
reckon.
Okay.
Obviously, Gareth Southgate has just named his England squad, as you are aware, and obviously there was a slight change last minute. Harry Maguire. We won't go into that. But what do you think of England's squad for these fixtures?
It's quite strong. I think the inclusion, obviously, of Mason Greenwood, I think is, as a Man United fan, I think it's very good. It could be that it's come slightly too soon. I think he may have benefited more from the under-21s. Bit baffling, really, that he said that Grealish is a wide player, and
I
that's why he
think for
didn't get
me,
Grealish.
Grealish is the bigger mission here. I just think, what does he have to do to get in the squad?
Pull his socks up.
Maybe literally, but not figuratively, because he's been playing amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think Grealish should have. That's probably the only player that I would have added. Calvin Phillips has obviously had a good season with Leeds, but he had a good season with Leeds in the Championship. I possibly would have gone Grealish over him, but And talking of 23-man England squads, that ties in nicely as well to. I recently did a 23-man England squad that I would have taken to Euro 2020, so go check that out. I've also recently done some other videos where it's like 0 cap wonders and 1 cap England wonders, so they're basically just me going back through England history and picking players that are no longer eligible for selection. And yeah, so
if you like your England squad videos, Dan's your man.
that's my shameless plugs out the way now. So
is there anyone glaring that
you did pick for your fictional Euro 2020 squad that isn't in this?
Not really off the top of my head. I can't.
Because I remember you put in Henderson. Obviously, Henderson's made it. I wouldn't mind seeing Henderson start. I think.
To be fair, I think like the three keepers that I selected in that, I think they're exactly the same. I think the only one is probably at right back. I think where they picked Kieran. He's picked Kieran Trippier at right back, where I selected Wan-Bissaka. And that wasn't obviously a Man United thing. That was just because I feel like Wan-Bissaka has got like more youth on his side, and he's more of like a defensive defender, so to speak, than Kieran Trippier. So I think that would probably have been the only change I would have made.
The only concern I have is that the midfield is really young, and I don't mean young in a bad way. I mean, obviously we're all excited about the youthful side that we've got and the prospects we've got, but I think more inexperienced is probably the better word. They seem like a really inexperienced midfield, especially for international duty, and that's my only concern.
Yeah, so they've got the likes of Phil Foden, Calvin Phillips in there, and James Ward-Prowse. I mean, he was the captain for England under-21s for like a good while. And I think when you look at it, like probably one of the more experienced midfielders is probably Harry Winks, and he's like not got like sackfuls of caps either. So it is very, very, very strange how inexperienced that midfield is. I mean, Jordan Henderson's injured still. It's just a case of like who else could they realistically have picked? In the centre of that midfield. That's what makes me think possibly Dyer may, be deployed in that role just to, give it a little bit more experience.
Yeah, true.
And then I think like up top though, like I like the inclusion of Danny Ings. I think, he's definitely earned that call up, but it does look like he'll probably play second fiddle to Harry Kane. So whether he plays in one of the games, he may play the Iceland game, sit out the Denmark game, or it's all about like the squad rotation, I guess, as well, really. And obviously I've not even spoken yet about Tammy Abraham. So, we've got three English strikers that all had very, very good seasons. Obviously Marcus Rashford and Mason Greenwood, they have been deployed, I guess, more as wide players. So, with them you've got more of the flexibility that they can play out wide. I wouldn't be surprised to see Southgate go with more of a conventional, not a conventional 4-4-2 as such, but two midfielders, maybe two out wide and two up top potentially, just to maybe like switch things up slightly. Because the wide players we've got, incredible, like Sancho, Sterling. If you're gonna say Greenwood and Rashford, pretty much as your four wide players, and I think any one of those at the moment would walk into any team. And, obviously United after Sancho, so, you could have all four of them playing in Manchester by the end, by the end of the transfer window. But, who knows what's going to happen.
But you're right, we've got a lot of great talent in those areas on the wings. And I think that is where our hopes are coming from, where they used to come from the old, I guess... all over the pitch. It was a lot of the midfield, really, wasn't it, back in the day? Like, we had a really strong midfield, but...
Lampard, Gerrard days.
Yeah.
A lot of the superstars didn't show up, particularly for a game like Iceland. So, anyway, I'm thinking that England are going to kind of do us proud, hopefully, that day, but we'll see. Right, moving on. We've got Denmark versus Belgium. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win for Belgium. I think they are just... still a really great side. It's definitely becoming an aging side, and they're definitely, heading past that kind of golden generation thing, which I talked about in my Euro 2020 prediction, how it would have gone sort of thing. But I still think they got a lot in the tank and a lot to give. So I'm going 2-1 against Denmark.
Yeah, I think 2-0. I'll go with 2-0 to Belgium. I think they're going to have a bit too much for Denmark. Don't really see Denmark scoring. I think they're decent at the back. Belgium obviously losing company now. He's retired completely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still think they're going to have enough. I think they'll go quite easy really for them.
Okay, moving
Comfortable
on.
2-0. Comfortable 2-0.
Comfortable. Moving on, we got France versus Sweden. Possibly another comfortable tie. I think France are the world champions. Any competition they enter now, they got a really strong chance of winning it. And any team they face against, they're going to have a strong chance of winning that match as well. So Sweden are a decent side, but this is the French World Cup winners. So for that, I'm going to go a convincing 3-0.
I'd probably have to agree with you with that scoreline. Probably, yeah. I was thinking myself maybe 3-0, 4-0, but I don't know whether it'll be as convincing as 4. So yeah, I think 3-0 is probably about right for that one.
It's coming very close for some of the stars in the teams as well, being that the Champions League final was so recent. You know what I mean? Like for a player like Mbappe, it's not a lot of time off. But then again, maybe they'll see it as the early stages of this competition, play your weaker side. Because as we said on Goal Hanging on the first season, it's kind of like the League Cup until you get to the kind of finals that they as they call them. Moving on to the next, the same round but the same night, even Portugal versus Croatia, a really, really tough one to pick, I think. And I don't want to spoil what I said in my Euro 2020 video if you haven't watched it, but basically, I guess I'm going to do a bit of that here. I think Croatia are going to slightly edge this one. I know Portugal are the reigning champions, but I think this time round, I don't know, just can see it. I can see it going either way, but I'm going to go for Croatia 2-1.
Don't care about this game. Both knocked England out of competitions.
A nil draw.
I think it's going to be 1-1.
Okay, I was going to say, we ain't done any draws yet, so that's, alright. I could have just gone with that. Why did I just go with that? Okay, no. 1-1 as well. Nah, screw it. I've stuck with it. Croatia 2-1 against Portugal. Nice little shocker for the Portuguese there. Not that I don't love you guys. Just what I'm feeling. Alright, moving on then. We go to Matchday 2, and we start off with Spain versus Ukraine. I think another straightforward win. Well, not another straightforward win, but a straightforward win for Spain. I'm going 2-0 over Ukraine.
Comfortable 5-0 Spain.
5-0.
5-0.
Okay, there's a big hitters coming out now. All right, moving on. This one might be a little bit more cagey, but I'm going to go for a 3-2 win to Germany in Germany versus Switzerland.
I was literally thinking 3-2,
Mate,
but
very wise.
I don't think Switzerland will score twice. I think 3-1.
Okay. Then moving on to Monday the 7th of September, we've got Poland versus Bosnia and Herzegovina. I'm going to go 2-0 Poland.
Desmond, I reckon.
All right, that's a 2-2. Right.
Yeah.
Same night, same kickoff time. We've got a really, 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 really tasty tie. The Netherlands versus Italy. I'm going to go with the Netherlands 2-1.
See, I think this is one of those where it could either be a real cagey, 1-0 affair, or it could be a complete goal fest. So it's whether to go on the side of a 1-0 or whether to go something ridiculous like a 4-3.
And I'm in the middle of a 2-1.
I go 1-0 Holland.
Okay, 1-0.
1-0 Holland.
I get what you're saying. It definitely feels like that. It could go either way, as in style of the game. Because when you look at, say, the PSG versus Bayern final, that looked like that was going to be the highest scorer. But really, Inter Milan Sevilla, that was the better game. That was the way more. They were all the goals and all that kind of stuff. Whereas you look at the PSG and Bayern and you think, goals are in these sides, but it wasn't.
Especially Bayern coming off the back of an 8-2 as well.
Exactly.
And then they go to the final and they've scored once.
So it's not always the way you think it's going to be as far as goals go. So you could be right, a 1-0 there.
But then obviously you've got Italy, renowned for defence. Over the years, the Italian defences. Obviously the likes of when they used to have that amazing back four with Buffon in goal, Maldini and Nesta centre backs, Cannavaro in later years as well playing there, and obviously Holland at the moment with probably the best defender in the world in Virgil van Dijk at centre half, and alongside him they'll probably go with Matthias de Ligt. So pretty.
Both sides got really impressive rebuilds going on. I find again, there's 2 points I was hitting on in my Euros video, but both sides I really think could do some big things in the next few years. So this should be a good game. Moving on, now we are into the last day of fixtures as far as League A goes, and the Nations League in general for Matchday 1 and 2. We've got Denmark versus England. I'm going to go with a 2-0 win for England. I've regretted that as soon as I said it, but
I'm sticking
3-2 England.
yeah, yeah. I think it probably is going to be something more like that, to be honest. But,
Yeah, 3-2. I think it's going to be one of those where we're going to make it harder for ourselves than we need to. The English way. And like it'll probably, I reckon, so it'll probably be something like we'll leave something like Harry Kane will be left on the bench, and then it'll be an SOS call to him in like the 80th minute, and he'll come on and just bang one in, and like
I
the last 10 minutes or something. So
earn a penalty or something like that. Yeah.
Not Man United, not a Man United player, mate. That'd be either Rashford or Greenwood.
yeah, but Kane does it as well. But
just no Bruno.
yeah, true. Yeah, maybe Portugal. We should have been more open-minded about them getting a few goals then.
Oh, they're coming. That's coming.
Right. So moving on, we've got Belgium versus Iceland. I think this is going to be a 3-0 win to Belgium.
See, I've got to think about the Belgian team at the moment. You know what? I think they've got far too much. I'm going to double your scoreline.
Really?
I'm going for a massive one. Yeah, I think they're going to smash it.
So you're going for a 6-0?
6-0, yeah.
Mate, so you've picked out a 5-0 and a 6-0 in this Matchday 1 and 2 scenario. So should be plenty of goals. I mean, we've barely done hardly any draws or low scoring things, but you've gone out on those ones.
Yep.
Okay, well. Right, moving on. One where I don't think it's going to be a 6-0 thrashing. We've got Sweden against Portugal. I'm going to go with an angry Portugal trying to prove a point that this is their trophy still after my predicted loss to Croatia. So I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory over Sweden.
2-0 Portugal, I think.
I feel bad for a team like Sweden because, and even more so like Bosnia and Herzegovina, because League A, the groups in League A are really, really tough. Like we saw from last year when we was in the group with Croatia and Spain, and obviously we made it through that, and then you had France was in with Germany and Holland. So it really, really tough groups, and the same this year. So yeah, you got to feel for those teams who just made it into League A.
It makes you step up though. Like you're playing against the bigger opponents and the better teams. It does make you want to play and actually get a result. It's not like the meaningless friendlies kind of thing where at least these games are meaning something and you're playing against bigger teams and it's going to make you want to get a result more. I think if you're going up against a bigger team and you can, I'd rather beat a big team 1-0 and think we've earned that win, rather than going out there against, no disrespect, a San Marino and winning 7 or 8-0 kind of thing.
You can't really progress as a young player like that, I don't think either, because it's you're playing, lower leagues or something, or playing, younger age football.
It's you see some of these games and you're thinking I could literally go on and score a hat trick, and I'm not in any kind of shape to play football at the minute, but.
But yeah, I mean, as a fan, I can imagine, like you say, the players, they must be raring to go on games like this. I'd much rather prefer to watch and play in a game like these ones. So yeah, definitely, again, singing the praises of Nations League, it's definitely been a really good thing. And I really hope a lot of people from last time who weren't too sure about it saw some of the highlights and saw, maybe even just the finals and thought, give this a go next year.
But yeah.
What a good thing UEFA have done.
Moving into the final game for the League A teams that we're going to be predicting, and that is France versus Croatia. Nice little World Cup final rematch. I can see it going the same way, and I'm going to go for a 3-2 victory for France this time.
0-0.
Really? Really?
Nah, I think France are going to do it 1-0.
1-0, okay. So lower scoreline. Okay, well. Okay, so that is League A out of the way. We're going to briefly touch on some of the matches in League B. Well, we weren't going to go case by case. We're not going to do score predictions, but we're going to briefly touch on what we think the chances of, I guess, the home nations would be. So Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, and the Republic of Ireland, I think is a really good chance for some of these teams to, again, like we were talking for this competition and we mentioned last year as well, to grow against who they're facing, face teams of their stature, and then hopefully grow into that next, getting promotion basically. Hopefully not relegation will be the aim. A team that I think out of the four of those is most likely to do that is Wales. Probably the best out of those four at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Wales and Republic of Ireland, obviously, they're in the same group, along with like Finland and Bulgaria. So I would say, I think comfortably Wales and Republic of Ireland should both be beating Bulgaria and Finland. So I think for like first and second, it's going to come down to the Wales and Ireland games. So I think it's going to be quite interesting. I do feel in that group it's going to be an Ireland-Wales 1-2, but I don't know which order that's going to be.
Yeah.
Obviously, Wales are going to have the freshest player on the planet, Gareth Bale, on their team. So, he's not kicked a ball in like goodness knows how long. Whether they can get him off the golf course or not is a different matter.
True,
I don't know what the golf courses are like in Finland, but they're first up against them, and then Bulgaria back at I'm guessing at the Principality Stadium, or are they playing? I don't know where they're playing that.
Not sure, because even all these games, they're all saying that they're in like literal home and away ties. But it's gonna be it's a lot of effort to travel to other countries just for one game, though, isn't it? So
at the moment, so.
I mean that's why I think it worked well with like the Champions League and Europa League, where they just kept it all in like one country.
Yeah, maybe they should have done that for these first rounds at least, but.
We'll see how it goes anyway. I mean, I don't know how it's going to work with like teams that are playing away and then they've got to come home, whether they're going to have to do like the quarantine stuff or anything like that.
You'd imagine it's been worked out, but...
Yeah, possibly. team immunity and all that stuff, but I mean, and Scotland, obviously, seems like they're in a pretty tough group. So they've got, the first game out, they've got Israel. I think they should, on paper, like Scotland have got a decent-ish team. Like they're building the nucleus of a decent team now. You've got obviously Andy Robertson, Kieran Tierney. There's talk, can they play in the same team?
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that is the thing.
Because I think the thing is, if Scotland play a back three, Tierney can play on the left of the back three, Robertson at left wing back. There you go. Sorted. Give me the Scotland manager's job right now.
And you've got to, it's like the whole Gerrard Lampard thing. You've just got to find a way. You've got
to find a way.
Even if you move one of them slightly up and play him like left wing.
I think it's better
It's better to have both of them in, and even one of them playing at maybe not in their normal position, than it is to not have both those guys in
the same 11, because
it is unfortunate though. They're the best two players they've produced in a long time are in the exact same position. But this is the modern day, where a lot of players are adapting. Like you say, playing a little bit further in front, one in front of the other. Who knows?
Yeah, so you got them, and then there's obviously Scott McTominay, the Man United player, playing in the centre of midfield. I think he's got all the makings. I think if United handle him well, he's got all the makings of being like right up there as like central midfielders. Like I know he's not been a regular in the United team like the last few months. Like he's been more going with Matic and Fred, but I think, McTominay in that role, he can also slot back into the centre-half positions if needed as well. And then another player that I do actually quite like as well. And it's weird because I'm talking about these players and they're all like defensive style players as well. Another one for Scotland is Scott McKenna, who plays for Aberdeen. I think he's actually a really good centre-half. He's got all the makings. I think he could easily make a step into the Premier League. In England at some point, it might not necessarily be for one of the top teams, but I think he would be like a comfortable like mid-table Premier League defender at some point. So
it's interesting though, like interesting points like you say, like there is a lot of fresh talent slowly rising up in Scotland, and it seems to all be in defensive positions. So maybe you've just got to adapt around that, and that's going to be then their style, a real gritty defensive unit, and you've got to work to your strengths. So if they can, produce someone that works well on the counter attack as well, where they kind of like that kind of part the bus football, I guess, is probably the best route for them to go down. Or if they can really, really be strong at the back and just kind of take on a barrage of shots and whatever else, and then someone on the counter can be lethal for them, then Scotland could well find their way into the promotion spots.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think for them, it's literally just you want to make yourselves like really hard to beat kind of thing. You know, because it's not like they've not got the firepower there either. You know, they've got James Forrest, who's been doing quite well at Celtic, and Ollie McBurney, who we've seen in the Premier League this season, who's done pretty well, you know, for Sheffield United. You know, I mean, it's strange that going through, like looking through their squad, you know, there's Liam Cooper, who's going to be a Premier League player next season with Leeds. You've got Stuart Armstrong at Southampton, Ryan Christie, who's playing at Celtic, John Fleck, who is Sheffield United, Ryan Jack playing for Rangers, John McGinn, the Aston Villa midfielder. I've not even spoken about him. Hell of a player, hell of a player. Kenny McLean, who we saw playing for Norwich as well. So there are quite a decent number of like very like decent Scottish players, you know, and in a group with Israel, Czech Republic, and Slovakia, you know, I can see Scotland possibly finishing second behind the Czech Republic in that group.
It would be interesting to see them kick on, and yeah, it's a very different team from, you know, the last kind of cycle of like Euro 2016 sort of thing. It's a very different team from them. So like a lot of the players you just mentioned in the last year or two have become or are becoming prominent figures in, you know, the Premier League teams and obviously in the Scottish League as well. So yeah,
And
possibly an exciting time.
It all depends, I guess, on what Scotland shows up as well, because they can blow hot and cold. Like they're capable of turning it on, and they're also capable of getting an absolute hiding. And you know, I just hope that they don't turn it on against Israel and then against Czech Republic they go out and they get hammered. But
yeah, I mean Czech Republic's going to be the tough one, obviously. So
yeah, I mean, I think if they can produce a solid defensive display against the Czech Republic, I mean, maybe revert back to that was it the 6-4-0 formation that they played in a game before, or 4-6-0 or something like that. That could serve them quite well. So, but no, I think I think Scotland will probably get out of that group. Wales will get out of their group. Yeah, and then I think with Northern Ireland, you know, they're in with Austria, Romania, and Norway. You know, Northern Ireland, they're quietly going about their business as well. You know, to be fair, that's a group they could actually win. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised to actually see Northern Ireland come out on top in that group. So,
yeah. See, I mean, it's weird because I know there's obviously a lot of differences of opinion for the so-called home nations, you know, the UK and the Republic of Ireland. But I've always been someone that likes seeing them do well. So I was looking out for them in the Euros and also in last year's Nations League. So I like watching these teams, and that's why we wanted to cover them as well, because obviously we know there's a lot of fans out there for these teams. So
yeah, like I'm exactly the same as you. Like I always support like Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland. You know, obviously not when they're playing England, because like England's obviously going to be like my footballing country. Yeah. But you know, it just I think it's one of them things I don't really get it.
I think it's who you are in it. Some people see it as a friendly rivalry, and obviously there's a lot of political issues behind it. But anyway, that's a whole video for another time. But generally,
for me, the way I look at it is my passport says that I'm from Great Britain and Northern Ireland. That's what my passport says. So it doesn't say on the front of it England. So I'm going to support the home nations where possible. So.
Okay, right. So that is it, guys. We have been Scott and Dan for Rebellious Noise, talking all things Nations League. Well, I say all things, a bit of League B and all of the League A. Let us know what you think. Who you think is going to win the competition? Who do you think is going to do well in their group stages? And hopefully we'll see something special going on for England. We did really well last time round, and again, I'm just excited to have international football back.
It's coming home.
Hopefully. All right, guys, please subscribe and check out more of our football content and the rest of our stuff at Rebellious Noise and rebnoise.com.